There's a critical parallel between the corporate world and the challenges education is facing with AI right now. It's really a story about a crisis of trust, and it holds a pretty stark warning for our schools. Let's get into it. A little while ago, I was at a family barbecue, and my nephew, who's 22, very casually mentioned he'd been approached by 3 major engineering firms. The job offers were, well, let's just say they were significant. So much so that I had a brief moment of questioning my own career path. But the part that really stuck with me was that he hadn't even finished his degree yet. Now, he's a bright kid for sure, but he's not some kind of once-in-a-generation prodigy. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized his story wasn't an outlier at all. It was actually a signal, a very clear signal that something fundamental has changed in the relationship between a credential and actual capability. What we've been seeing is a quiet but very pragmatic revolt. And I want to be clear, this isn't about progressive values or diversity initiatives. This is about a simple, hard-nosed business calculation, a calculation about institutional failure. And just look at the scale of this. This isn't just a few trendy tech startups. We're talking about titans of industry: Google, Amazon, IBM, and even entire governments. When a state like Pennsylvania gets rid of the bachelor's degree requirement for more than 90% of its jobs, well, this is much more than a trend. It's a seismic shift. So, why did this happen? That's the crucial question. For years, employers were finding that the graduates they hired, people who were fluent in theory, simply couldn't solve practical, real-world problems. They needed 6, sometimes even 12 months of retraining just to get up to speed. The trust in what that university credential guaranteed had simply evaporated. Okay, now let's bring this back to our world. Because that exact same pattern, that institutional lag that made the university degree less valuable, is playing out right now with the rise of AI. The technology is different, but the dynamics, they're eerily familiar. As of this spring, my own research showed that only about 10 to 12% of school boards in North America had any kind of formal AI policies in place. And other research from EdWeek shows 79% of educators say their districts still lack clear guidance. The leadership response has been, well, let's just say it's been deliberate. But here's the other side of the coin. While the institutions are deliberating, the students are acting. We're seeing surveys where 95% of students who use AI tutors say their grades have improved. They aren't waiting around for permission slips or new policy frameworks. The technology is already a core part of their academic life. And this creates a situation that I call the governance gap. It's this dangerous space that opens up when policy falls way behind practice. It leaves teachers in this impossible spot, trying to police tools they don't really understand, and it exposes schools to some pretty significant risks, both legally and operationally. But it's not all doom and gloom. There is a proven way forward. And to find it, we can actually look back at what made those corporate training programs, the very ones that started replacing university degrees, so effective. They all followed a clear set of principles for how to adapt quickly. First, they moved fast. They launched programs in months, not the years it takes for academic curriculum cycles. Second, they embraced iteration. They would test things, fail, and see that failure as useful data to make immediate adjustments. A mindset that, let's be honest, is often at odds with the risk-averse culture in education. Third, and this is so important, they got buy-in from the ground up, involving the very people who would be using the training. And finally, they focused on skills-based validation. It was all about proving what you can do, not just listing the courses you've taken. So really, the whole thing boils down to a fundamental shift in mindset. The successful companies stopped asking, what's the perfect, comprehensive 5-year program we can build? Instead, they started asking, what can we do this quarter that will help our people perform better right now? It was a complete shift from perfectionism to pragmatism. And this brings us right to the choice that every single education leader is facing today. You see, the corporate world decided it couldn't wait for universities to catch up. And now, with AI, schools simply can't afford to wait for governments or federal agencies to hand down some perfect, ready-made solution. So this is the central question we really have to confront, isn't it? What is the actual cost of waiting for a level of certainty that might never come? Our teachers need clarity, and they need it now. Parents need to feel confident in how their children's work is being evaluated. And as leaders, we have to mitigate the very real risks of doing nothing. This, for me, was the key lesson from watching that quiet corporate revolt against credentials.
It's the reality of any major technological disruption. The window you have to adapt, well, it's finite. Institutions that can adapt often don't get second chances.
Remember my nephew? The companies that hired him didn't wait around for universities to figure things out. They built their own solutions and they moved on. The challenge for every leader in education is to make sure that isn't the story that gets told about your institution when it comes to AI. The train really is leaving the station. The only question is, are you going to be on it?